Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the final day of May, and we are here at the Baku City Circuit in Azerbaijan. I'm JW97, of course, and I am joined today by Dennis Graff.
Good evening.
Good evening indeed. So we are here at the popular Baku City Circuit in Azerbaijan. Ironically, F1 is also going there this weekend, so kind of a coincidence really that we've got Azerbaijan first and then F1 has it later on this weekend. But also for GP4C, kind of an end of an era this week because if you may have seen the news earlier today, this is the last time we're having a practice session on a Monday because, as you may have seen, from the Spanish Grand Prix onwards, which is next race, we will be just having a practice session on Tuesday permanently. It's moving to a Tuesday permanently, regardless of whether GP2 is on or not. It has been kind of debated in private, really, about this because of the fact that GP2 usually happens at 7 o'clock and the fact that Yuri finds it a bit pointless of doing a half an hour stream on a Monday, just doing one, of course, and it's come to the conclusion that this is what we are going to do. But there are also some other details about practice sessions in the future that we'll go into in just a little bit later on. But obviously, coming into this week, of course, after 3 races, we've had 3 different winners of 3 different teams, and after a Chinese Grand Prix, which made the host pull his hair out a little bit, we come into this race with a change in the championship lead. Franco Lopez leading the championship by just a solitary point ahead of... Franco Lopez leading the Drivers' Championship by just a solitary point ahead of Joseph Willows, who, thanks to his victory and getting Ferrari's 5th consecutive win in China, a little stat that kind of got left out a little bit by a lot of people. It was Ferrari's 5th consecutive win in Shanghai. Willows now finds himself within a point of championship leader Lopez, with Garnbert a further 9 points back in 3rd position. Already quite a close championship, it must be said, but... Anyway, you can see the weather on your screen. It is a bright and sunny day here in practice, and hopefully it should be a pretty interesting practice session here in Azerbaijan. So I think without further ado, I think we can get the practice session underway. And of course, this being Baku, it is known for probably having the longest loading time of any track in the season, but luckily Yuri's processor is a lot quicker than mine and Flo's. So
hello, long loading screen.
Obviously, the reason why the loading screen is usually quite long with Azerbaijan is because the textures of it, because there's a lot of scenery on the track, and of course it's a very long track as well. It does take quite a bit of time to load up, so do bear with us, guys. It will take a little bit of a while, but it should be up on your screens very, very soon. Don't think the game has crashed or anything, because it hasn't. It's just one of those things where the track has a lot of... trying not to swear here, a lot of stuff going on around the track. So that's that, really. So going into this race, as mentioned, the championship, we've had 3 different winners in the first 3 races. Could we have a 4th different winner here this weekend? Well, one man who will be hoping that it will be a 4th different winner is, of course, Amar Khan. As we know, coming into this season, he is dubbed the King of Baku. Because of the fact that every time we've been here to Baku, he's always won here. Can he make it 4 out of 4? Well, he'll desperately need to make it 4 out of 4 because it hasn't been the best of starts for Amar Khan this season, you'd have to say, Dennis.
Yeah.
I think you kind of cut out there for me a little bit, but anyway. Okay. Anyway, so here we are then, the final practice session. Monday practice session of GP4C, of course, moving to Tuesday permanently from next week, and we've already got a car coming out of the track. It is one of the Alfa Romeos that is coming out onto the racetrack, and I believe that's Gabriel Gomez, because it looks like a yellow helmet. So it is Gabriel Gomez that's coming out onto the racetrack. Now, one of the things that people may have noticed from China last time out was, especially at the start, when there looked to be a little bit of lag at the start, we found out that was because something on Yuri's computer was trying to run in the background, which kind of slowed it down. Worst possible timing, Yuri put it, but hopefully that shouldn't be the case this time about. Something running in the background. I think it was something like Windows Defender or something like that was running in the background that was slowing things down.
Yeah, there's something was Windows Defender wanted to do the routine checks and decided that now is the time to slow the computer down to check out all of the million different files on the computer. I had to manually shut it down because that would have lasted the whole race otherwise.
But anyway, that was that. And but anyway, we were talking briefly, of course, about how this is the last Monday practice session that we're ever going to have. But there was some further news that came about in terms of the practice session, because from the 2020 season, the practice session is actually being increased by a further 5 minutes. So currently, right now, it is a 25-minute session, but from next season, it will become a half-an-hour session. But that's not the only bit of news for practice, because from 2021, it will increase a further 10 minutes, so it will become a 40-minute practice session. And the reason Yuri says this is going to happen is because of the fact that it's going fantasy in 2021. It gives us commentators more chance to talk about other topics, because of the fact that we won't know the stats of these performances, only Yuri will. So he'll be keeping that one a secret from all of us, because currently right now, obviously because it's based on the real life car performances, we kind of get an indication of what it's going to be like, except with a little GP4 OC spice, as I like to call it, which kind of closes up the field a little bit. So that's kind of that, really. So it will be interesting to see with the next 2 seasons how the conversations will go in these practice sessions over the next 2 seasons. But anyway, we just seen there that Gabriel Gomez has just started his lap as he comes down one of the long straights. And he's got 2 other cars right behind him as well. One of them is Roland Motrin, and I believe the other one, from looking at the helmet, looks like David Cupar. Now, Gomez so far this season has scored a point in every single race. Do you think he might continue that this weekend, Dennis? He might have a good chance given the Ferrari engine.
Yeah, indeed. So, because the Ferrari engine is good on the straight, because it's very long straight, 2 kilometers almost. Yeah, so he could have a good chance.
Exactly, and speaking of an engine that has a Ferrari engine, well, the main Ferrari team in general, of course. Now, of course, the last 2 races, Laura Chung has taken pole position. She'll be looking to make it 3 in a row, but so far she hasn't been able to convert it into her first ever win. Can she do that here on a track that Armagh Car has reigned supreme over the last 3 years? We'll have to wait and see, of course. I mean, Ferrari won here last season with Armagh Car, and given they seem to have a bit of a power advantage compared to the Honda, Mercedes, and of course the Renault, they might be the favourites here this weekend to pull up a surprise as well. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, we look at Gabriel Gomez, who's going to be the first to set a lap here in practice, as he'll come down the very, very long straight. Probably longer than Korea, I think, as well. It's kind of I'm not really sure which one is longer. I know that both of them are longer than Abu Dhabi, but when Korea was around on the F1 calendar, that had the longest straight. But ever since Baku's come about, since Korea's disappeared, this has had the longest straight. So I think this one is slightly longer than Yohong now, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, as you can see there, out of those 3 cars, Kupok has gone to the top with a 138.1. There's a Mercedes behind, which inevitably goes to the top. That is the king of Baku himself, Armagh Car, a 136.689. I realise if I keep on saying king of Baku, it might jinx him a bit, so I'll try my best to hold back on that. Gal goes into second place. That happens. Frank Ogawa gets some healthy slipstream off one of the Williamses there. It looks like Lean Campana, I think, because that looks like the Mika Hakkinen helmet. So I believe that is Campana who's getting some slipstream off. Could this help him get a very good time? I don't think it will, because I think he's been held up quite a way around the track, and it hasn't. He's 1.2 seconds off of Armagh Cars. He just gets by Campana there into the first corner, as one of the Ferraris is going to cross the lap line very soon, so we'll get a representative of how quick the Ferraris are around here in Baku. I'm not really sure which Ferrari that is that's going to cross the line first. Mckenzie going into 4th. It was Chung, and she's 1.3 off car, so I don't know if she got held up by traffic or what, but a lot of over 1 second lap times on this first run, maybe a lot of traffic on that lap. Not 100% sure. Willow's only 10th on his first lap there, Lopez only 9th, so yeah, it does seem to be a thing, traffic around here at Baku, it must be said. Just a one line there from Dennis Graff. But anyway, as you've also noticed as well, for the 3rd race in a row, we are using the red soft tyres. I think the last time we had a hat-trick of tyre compounds, I think it was back in 2015, was the last time we had a hat-trick of tyre compounds. And it's happened this season. We were kind of expecting it, really, because we've only got 3 compounds now, the soft, medium and hard, and this is the 3rd time that we've used them this season. We're still yet to use the yellow medium tyres. Whether that will come at Spain, we'll have to wait and see. And so obviously the question will be what sort of wear rate these tyres will have this time by, because as we know, of course, there are different wear rates. No matter the compound they use, even if it's the same for 3 races in a row, the wear rate always seems to differ, because there is a wear range between all 3 compounds. So that'll be something to probably keep an eye on during the course of the week, as everybody's just making their way down the straight. Gal's come back into the pitch. Roker's done a slight improvement. Right on board with Dennis Graff, who was actually in the car this week. That's probably why you're in the commentary box, isn't it, Dennis?
Not really. Yep.
It's just a coincidence, I guess. So anyway,
for last week, but Yes, something went wrong, and now he's here.
So Dennis Graff is in the car for the Williams this week, although he's been hounded a bit by Franco Lopez behind. But currently Graff finding himself in front of his teammate Lincoln Palmer at the moment as Chung slightly improves, but remains in
1,000 per second.
only minute. She still stays in fourth as a result, as Lopez still struggling to get by on the Williams there, probably because of the fact they both have a Mercedes engine in the back. So that's probably something to keep an eye on as well. We ride on board with Gabriel Gomez, only briefly there, because we look back at the man he was rivals with in DTM, Kirishima Derova, who's on the back of the other Alfa Romeo of Andrea Vederi. Now, one thing that we touched upon before we went on the air, Dennis, is the fact that so far this season, all the driver of the day seem to be representatives of Italy so far. It's a bit of a coincidence, if you ask me, so far. Obviously, Franco Gamba was the driver of the day at Australia. Then it was Andrea Vederi in Bahrain. And the past race, it was Paulino Tomaselli who got the driver of the day from China. I wonder if Matteo Catalan can try and do it for Italy this week, as we just saw there that Dennis Graff made a little error going through the chicane there.
Yeah, he needs to adapt to the car. It's the second appearance for him ever, the top class car.
Yeah, obviously he did some obvious testing for Williams during pre-season testing, of course, when all the test drives are on day 4. But this is the first time we've seen a test driver during an actual race weekend. I put that in quotation marks because we're not on a weekend. It's Monday afternoon here, specifically May Day over here. I don't know if that's the same across the world at all, if anyone else has May Day, but it is here in the UK and Ireland. I'm not sure if that's the same for anyone else. But
no idea what that is.
That answers it. Well, that answers it then. It's probably just a UK and Ireland thing then. So, anyway, it's just going out of that corner as Lopez is still getting stuck behind Dennis Graff. Lopez probably getting a bit annoyed by the young German getting in his way there a little bit. And so probably getting a little bit annoyed as we look at Gomez just going around that double right-hander before approaching the Castle section. Now, only one person throughout the history of GP4 has crashed at the Castle section in the top class. That rain going to Rick Yan, unless somebody else did it last season. I can't 100% remember, but I only remember Rick Yan possibly crashing at the Castle section. So whether he'll get joined on that list this weekend, I'll put that in quotation marks. It's not a thing in Ireland either, so it must be just a UK thing. Okay, I thought it was also in Ireland, but there we are. But anyway, as Gomez just goes around the right-hander there, as he'll just make his way flat through the left and right-hander. As meantime, the other Mercedes of car getting held up by the Toro Rosso of David Kupak, who at the same time is being held up by the Racing Point of Roland Motrin. But anyway, Carr is going into the pits this lap anyway. He'll pull to the right, as does Kupak as well. So 2 cars going in at the same time. So at this point in time, it's Carr at the top from Gal in second, Gamba in third position, followed by Chung, Mckenzie, DeRosa, Kupak, Tomaselli, Lopez, and Willows who round out the top 10. So I think it's fair to say at the moment, Dennis, it seems that tyre wear could be quite a thing around here, because it seems that degradation appears to be quite high around here.
Yeah, that's right. Strategy can be a very important thing here, especially on a soft tyre.
Especially as Lopez still getting stuck behind Graff at this point in time, probably banging his head on the steering wheel.
The Williams.
Must do, really. Now, speaking of backmarker teams, we might as well talk about Manor, who obviously, at long last, Maxim Titkov getting his first ever points in China last time out, bringing them ahead of Williams and Hassan, the constructors, it must be said. How long they can keep that up for, we'll have to wait and see. But speaking of Manor, of course, I did briefly touch upon last week that I was currently working on their 2020 livery. Well, I have now officially completed that livery. Yuri has already got the livery, and you'll see that livery when the 2020 sign-ups open. Yep, DeRosa goes into 4th position. So, as mentioned, you'll see that 2020 Manor livery when the 2020 sign-ups open. I'm not revealing it just yet. But it's kind of, obviously, next season, of course, being Manor's last season, I thought I'd try and give him a good send-off, before they head off into the sunset, before we head off into the fantasy era, before they get replaced by, we believe it's going to be a manufacturer that's going to replace them in 2021, but unless plans change halfway, I'm not sure. But anyway, Gomez now then coming across the line, obviously not on an improvement. He's been on them tyres for quite a while, it must be said. Same with a lot of people at the moment, as Q-Pock and Willows are the only two drivers who are in the pits. Car's already come straight back out onto the racetrack, so maybe he'll look to try and improve on that 1 minute 36.689 soon. So anyway, Campana currently holding up one of the McLarens at the moment. I believe from the look of the helmet, it looks like it's Paolino Tomaselli, actually, the man who got his first ever podium last time out in China, as did Laura Chung as well. So 2 first-time podium sitters last time out in China. Tomaselli does not improve. Is he able to overtake the Williams into turn 1? I think he might just have the overlap. We'll never know, of course. As Fosbury, who was robbed of points in China, does not improve, remains in 20th position. He's got Rosetta Martinez behind him at the moment. Rosetta, I think it's fair to say so far, Dennis, has had the measure of Maxim in qualifying, but just can't seem to turn it around in the race.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know what reason for that, but it seems like Rosetta has his magic, I would say, in qualifying. He needs to the race pace.
Yeah, not been the best of starts for the 2018 DTM champion.
It's actually it's a similar pattern as what was last season with Etienne and Maxim, where Etienne had the edge on qualifying, but Maxim was way faster in the races.
Yeah, I've only just... I that didn't actually come to my mind, actually, but now that you mentioned it, that is a very, very good point. Obviously, we saw, as you said, obviously last season, Etienne was very, very good in the qualifying, but for some reason in the race, he just didn't seem to switch it on, and Maxim just ran circles around him, so to speak. And although the points never reflected that, because of course Etienne Jones was the only one scoring points for Manor last season, obviously Maxim getting robbed in Russia last season, which if he didn't get robbed, he would have finished ahead of Jones in the Drivers' Championship. But yeah, majority of the season, Maxim just had Etienne's number, and of course Etienne is not competing in any series, and I don't know if he officially hanged up his racing boots from a statement that he gave, I think, on Discord about the whole thing. But yeah, that was kind of that, really. But anyway, we're now right on board with Paolino Tomaselli, who was just about to cross the line there. Lopez still stuck behind Graff, but he's also now brought company in the form of Kirishima De Rosa, I believe that is. So I think it is De Rosa, because we saw Tomaselli about to cross the line a little bit earlier. We're right on board now then with Evan Byrne, who finally got his points account open this season after what has been a tricky start to the season for the Irishman. In fact, Renault as a whole managed to score points. Jay Mckenzie finally getting points on the board, as it looks like it's 3 wide there between the McLaren, Williams and Mercedes, as the McLaren actually gets in front of the Mercedes. So more of a headache there for Franco Lopez. That's Evan Byrne we just look at now, just rounding the chicane. And he'll be approaching the end of the first sector. As Garber improves, he goes up to 2nd place actually now, 3 tenths off of Amar Khan. So a big improvement there for Franco Garber, who'll be looking to make amends after the crash he had with, ironically, Carr last week at China, which, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, made Yuri Marta pull his hair out because of the backmarker glitch that we've seen plenty of times, especially in Kota. So we now ride on board now then with Gabriel Gomez, who now makes his way down the pit straight, and currently Gomez finding himself in 18th position, 2 seconds off Khan. This doesn't look like an improvement for Gomez, and he's finally coming back into the pits after quite a long run on the set of tyres that he was on. So it's that really. Willows has come back out onto the track along with Q-Pock, so hopefully we'll see some more improvements there. So far, not been the best of session so far for the Ferraris, whether that's down to traffic or whether something else is going off, I'm not 100% sure really. As Graff now having the pleasure of holding up Kiro this time. So
yeah,
that's that really. The holding up master indeed. Well, we'll be seeing Graff a little bit later on of course, because GP2 is on here at Baku, the third ever race here at Baku, of course. And going into that race, of course, Nicholas Zorbach picking up the win in Bahrain. Whether he can keep that up here in Baku, we'll have to wait and see. We know that GP2 over the last few seasons had a tendency of being quite close. Whether that will be the thing here this time, I would have to wait and see. As one of the Ferraris is trying to get by on one of the Manas there. It looks like that Mana is Maxim Titkov. That's actually Willow's getting by on Titkov there. As Lopez has broke free from Kira, but has still got the dreaded Williams in front of him. So he'll be in his head a bit more as he's still down in 9th position as Gomez, as we just mentioned, coming back into the pits. So as Gomez now they're making his way towards the left-hander, and what was that really? Now obviously one of the things that happened, obviously yesterday the BTCC pre-season test happened, and something quite interesting happened with one of the drivers, which I'm kind of hiding under a desk under that one, really, to be honest with you. Probably speaking from a cupboard from that, because a mistype happened on my end, a human hand error happened. So yeah, that was kind of that. But thankfully, the person who had that little error that happened saw the funny side of it. Thankfully, from what he put on the Discord. I think it kind of made a lot of people chuckle as well. Yeah. So thankfully that little issue won't be there when the first meeting of the season happens. Not this week; it will be next weekend, because of course we've got the F1 Azerbaijan Grand Prix and combined with MotoGP as well at Barcelona happening this weekend. So 2 lots of motorsport happening this weekend. Big motorsports, it must be said. As Byrne currently finding himself in 11th position. As Lopez again getting held up by Dennis Graff, who has been on them tyres for a hell of a long time. Dennis Graff has. A lot longer than what Gabriel Gomez has, it must be said. Byrne finally coming back into the pits this time by. Lopez still can't get by the fellow Mercedes-powered Dennis Graff. That's probably going to be the key topic of this week, is that Graff just can't seem to get by. Sorry, Lopez just can't seem to get by Williams. And, well, that's that really. As we ride on board with Byrne, he'll be heading back into the pits at this lap with just 8.5 minutes to go in this session, as he'll just make his way around the double right-hander. So far in this session, Dennis, what have you made of it? As Motrin, in fact, as I was about to ask you a question, has just improved to go up into 4th position. So so far, I don't think there's really much you can take from this practice session at the moment, you'd have to say, Dennis.
Not really, because all the traffic and especially for Lopez and Willows, P10, 11, it's not really represented.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll probably see some of that representative time tomorrow, but then again, it could even be a thing tomorrow during qualifying. All this traffic, it might throw in a surprise result, but at the same time, they'll all have lighter fuel on tomorrow anyway, so it will have to be a thing as well, because obviously they're running kind of a race fuel run during this session. Of course, they're running a lot heavier fuel than what they would do if they were doing a qualifying run. As Byrne will see peel to the left and go into pit lane. As well, you got to be aware of that pit entrance. So far, it hasn't been an issue for the top class, it must be said, I don't think. But yeah, you see there Tomaselli trying to get on the inside of Evan Byrne, but I think for some reason the AI seem to be a little bit more smarter with this pit entrance than what they are with other pit entrances, which I find quite bizarre, to be honest. I don't know if it's because of the angle of where the pit lane entrance is or whatever, but so far, knock on wood, we haven't had a major accident at that pit entrance whilst the top class has been here. We've seen it a couple of times in other series, like Formula E when they used to go here, and of course GP2, I think, a couple of times, but it hasn't really been a thing for the top class, which is quite surprising. So yeah, that's interesting that really. As Graff still not coming in, still holding up Lopez, as now we've got a bit of a situation going on the pits there, as De Rosa tried to get by somebody who was going back into the pits. Not quite sure who that Alfa Romeo was he was trying to get by there, but
still behind Graff.
Chong slightly improves, but only in 6th position, so yeah, maybe tyre wear might be kicking in on the lap. So I do think, looking at it, I think the tyre degradation around there is quite high, so it might be a bit of a factor when it comes to the race on Wednesday. 51 laps, of course, that we'll be doing around here at Baku. Graff is finally pitting, and Lopez will be kind of relieved about that, I think. So yeah, that will be that really. As I think we'll see a similar thing between him and was it Tomaselli that we saw a little bit earlier, where he'll just get by Graff, and Graff will have to take a little bit of avoiding action to just get around him, basically. Well, it was a McLaren. That's all I can say. It was a McLaren.
Yeah, it was
Okay. So anyway, as we look at Graff, who's now coming up towards the castle section. I should say. I don't need to put an emphasis on the A. It's Castle. As Catalan goes to 7th there in the Toro Rosso, so he's made a big leap. So the Italian goes into 7th position there. It's been quite a good start for Toro Rosso, it says. Tomaselli goes into 3rd there in the McLaren. So quite a good lap there, getting in front of Miklos Gal at the moment. As Lopez still stuck behind, but he'll be probably relieved that he'll no longer be stuck behind Graff. But I've got a feeling, look at the amount of laps he's been on them tyres, he might be pitting next lap. We'll have to wait and see on that. But he's holding up a bigger traffic jam as Roque goes up to 11th ahead of Lopez. And let's see if a similar thing happens between what we saw with the McLaren a little bit earlier on, between Graff and Lopez. Let's see, as we'll see Graff try and swerve to the left, but no, it doesn't, in fact, because Lopez didn't really have the overlap on him that time by. Willows only going up to 13th that time by, so it seems that the Ferrari might be struggling a bit with either pace or maybe just tyre degradation. Not 100% sure on that, as we've just said. I don't think we're really seeing the representative times at the moment, as Gal goes up to 3rd position in the Red Bull, so he takes 3rd back off Tomaselli, so he's now within 4/10 off Armar Car. As Lopez now able to get a clean lap in front of him. He's not pitting this lap, so we'll be able to see hopefully a more representative time on Lopez. But given how long he's been on them tyres, I still think he probably won't be within that top echelon, because I bet them tyres are probably knackered, especially being stuck behind Graff for so long. As he just makes his way around Duquesne there, currently holding up, I believe that's Franco Gamba, so both Francos together on the track, as there's a couple more cars appearing in the background as well. We've got the likes of Chung and I believe Gal as well. Chatfield getting up to 15th there, as we have 4.5 minutes to go in this practice session. As going around the left-hander now, then goes Franco Lopez, as he's not actually up on his personal best, so definitely the tyres knackering for the Argentine, as we saw Gomez only going up to 18th that time by, as Lopez just flicking it through the left-hander, and he'll be coming towards the end of his lap very soon. As we now look at the man he actually replaced at Mercedes last season, that's Jay Mckenzie, who managed to get his points account finally underway in China. Probably was robbed of a good points finish in Bahrain, but made amends for that in China, but he probably still feel a little bit robbed of the fact that he could have had a chance for a podium, but it didn't happen, as Gamba's coming into the pits at the time by. Willows goes up to 11th, so slightly chopping some time off, well, his time basically, but made a bit of a hash brown on my grammar there, but hash brown, for anybody wondering, is a type of food that you usually find on a full English breakfast, for anybody wondering who lives outside the UK. So that's that really, as Jay Mckenzie now then just making his way down the straight. Just made a little bit of a history lesson, a food history lesson for anybody who wanted it. Probably not, I don't think a lot of you are interested. But anyway, as Jay Mckenzie crosses the line and does not improve there. And that's that really, as Mckenzie currently in 9th place. He's currently in the top 10, just over 3 minutes to go, as Lopez is finally coming into the pits, but I believe that might be a session over, as his teammate Armar Car is now right behind him. I think he might have just come out of the pits there, because we didn't see him in this train earlier, so I think Car looking to see if he can try and improve on that 1 minute 36.6 before the session comes to a close, as Lopez makes his way around the double right-hander before heading towards the castle section. So far in real life Formula 1, we haven't seen a crash at the castle section. Given that it's been 2 years since we've had a race at Baku in real life, I wonder if we'll see it this time by. I doubt it, because the F1 drivers are a little bit more smarter when it comes to that castle section, but we have seen chaos around this track over the years with Baku. That's why it is a popular track on the F1 calendar. So
especially in F2.
Yeah, F2 is usually quite the chaotic bit as well. And is F2 actually going there this week as well? I'm not 100% sure, because the whole thing with F2 and F3 with their scheduling, it kind of rules me up a bit. But anyway, we'll now look at Jay Mckenzie, who makes his way down the hill out of the 90-degree left-hander. As the Dairy slightly improved to going to 14th there, getting in front of Mackenzie's teammate, Evan Byrne. And Mckenzie now then will be completing his lap, but it looks like it's not going to be an improvement for the Polish drivers. He makes his way around the flat-out left and right-hander. And I was on about the race, Rob, not qualifying. Qualifying doesn't count in my eyes, as Byrne actually got back up to 14th that time by. As Fosbury is on an improvement, you can tell from the depth panel he's going green as he now makes his way down the straight. I know that Leclerc is famous for that castle crash in qualifying, and Kubica as well, mainly Leclerc for his team radio where he said, "I am stupid." But Fosbury goes up to 19th, only getting a place there because I think he was 20th a little bit earlier on, as he just comes out of turn 1 there. As we now ride on board with Kirishima De Rosa with just over a minute to go, so we'll soon be seeing guys crossing the line very soon, and we'll be very interested to see who'll be the last to set a time in this practice session, as we are getting towards the end of that. As Gomez is coming back in, so that's his session done with. We look at Tomaselli now then. Across the line he will go, and currently in 4th position, and so far remaining in 4th, as Motrin's on an improvement, currently in 5th. Can he get himself back in the top 4? The Hungarian driver now then comes across the line in the racing point, and he does improve, but still remains in his position, exactly a second behind Armar Kar. David Kupok crosses the line, and he does not improve either. George Roque is going to cross the line himself in the racing point, and no improvement for him at the moment, down in 12th. Titkov doesn't improve, or does his teammate. Joseph Wells is not at the best of sessions today, remains in 11th. Andre Videri remains in 15th, as we now look at Lean Campana with 30 seconds to go on the clock. Campana across the line, no improvement, as Armar Kar isn't able to improve on his 1 minute 36.6. De Rosa stays where he is. Chung stays where she is, as does Gao. Gao got a little bit held up by Chung there, I think, as Graff starts 1 more lap. Byrne crosses the line, no improvement. Mackenzie's going back into the pit. Now, is Fosbury going to have enough time to cross the line, or is the Renault, I believe it was Byrne, wasn't it, that was last to cross the line that time by? It was a Renault at least. One of the Renaults went in and one of them stayed out to do 1 more lap, and I believe it will be that Renault because the timer is ticking down. And 1-0, and there you have it. Checker flag is out, and that is the end of the session then. So the Renault was the last car to cross the line. I believe it was Byrne, as Fosbury does not improve there. Here comes his teammate Chris Chatfield. Not been the best of days for Haas today, it must be said. 16th and 19th, and Chatfield is not on an improvement this time by, as the Haas driver now crosses the line, and no improvement for him. Tomaselli's coming back into the pits. We look at Motrin now then on his final lap. He's not on an improvement, 1.3 off car in the second sector there, as he just makes his way around the final couple of corners before heading down this long straight, the longest straight on the calendar, where we're probably going to be seeing most of the overtaking this season, and of course obviously the other straight as well if you're lucky enough, but mainly it'll be on this straight where we'll see most of the overtaking. Motrin, as predicted, doesn't improve. Kupok going to cross the line very soon. Kupok, where is he at the moment? He's 7th at the moment, so he looks like he's going to get a top 10 finish. He's not going to improve. Roque, not on an improvement either. Crosses the line, no improvement. Here comes Titkov, currently in 17th, remaining 17th. Martinez currently 20th, still remains in 20th. As Willows remains in 11th, not a good session for him. Garber didn't have enough time to do a lap. Videri just comes back into the pits as a side-by-side action between Carr and Campana, and they're both not going to be able to improve, which they don't. And where is the Renault? That's the question. I think the Renault's the last car to cross the line, isn't it? There's a Renault, I think. De Rosa and Gal don't improve, and it is Byrne who's the last to cross the line. Graff doesn't improve, and nor does Byrne. And there you have it then. That is the end of the final ever Monday practice session, of course, because from next week onwards, it will be on Tuesday permanently. So there you have it then. Of course, the top 3, if you need a reminder, were, of course, Armar Kar, the King of Baku, Franco Gamba, and Miklos Gal. So 2 Red Bulls in the top 3 there then. So there you have it then. That's been the end of practice. What did you make of it, Dennis?
Yeah, it was very interesting practice. It seems like the Red Bull have good pace, especially Gamba. Yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow in qualifying.
Indeed, definitely. And, that's, I think, similar thoughts as well, especially the tyre wear as well. That's going to be one of the things that's going to be quite interesting this week as well. Well, there you have it then. That has been the end of Monday practice. The last time a practice session will be on a Monday, of course, because as I mentioned quite a few times, it will be on Tuesday permanently from the next race, regardless of whether GP2 is on or not. But we're not done yet with live streams, because later on tonight at 7 p.m. BST we will have the qualifying session for GP2 coming up as well here at Baku. So do be on the lookout for that. But until then, I've been JW97. He's been Dennis Graff. And we will see you tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. BST for the qualifying session ahead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Any final words, Dennis?
Yes, see you later for GP2.
Indeed, we'll see you later on then for GP2. I might be doing commentary with Rob yet. I'm not sure yet. I need to see how things go. But anyway, I've been JW97. He's been Dennis once again. And we will see you tomorrow for qualifying. Till then, take care.